Now, what is the story of the Kaaba? That is the Kaaba invites some serious discussion. What is Kaaba and why it is so important? And what is the background of the Kaaba? Kaaba से when I ask you a question, if I ask you a question, काबा की तारीख क्या है? What was काबा? कब बना काबा और क्या तारीख है इसकी? Any idea? कोई बताएंगे हमें किसी साहिब या साहिबा को पता हो what is काबा?
सर बेसिकली ये वो जगह जहाँ पे बीबी हाजरा जो थी वो हजरत इस्माइल अलैहिस्सलाम को जो है वो लेके आई थी, बिकॉज अल्लाह ताला ने उनको ऑर्डर किया था इब्राहिम अलैहिस्सलाम को कि अपनी बीवी को और अपने बेटे को जो है वो सहरा में छोड़ो, बिकॉज इट वाज अ टेस्ट जो अल्लाह ताला जो है वो कर रहे थे। तो हजरत इस्माइल अलैहिस्सलाम ने जो इब्राहिम अलैहिस्सलाम ने मिल के जो है वो ये पहला स्ट्रक्चर था दुनिया पे जो अल्लाह ताला के नाम पे जो है वो बनाया कि ये खुदा का घर है।
तो सही कह रहे हैं आप, बात तो सही आप कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अब क्यों बनाया? किसी ने कहा उनको कि बनाओ या ऐसे ही बना दिया?
सर वो रेवलेशन आई थी ना, अल्लाह ताला ने जो है वो उनसे कहा था कि मेरा घर जो है वो तामीर किया जाए।
सही है। So हम कहाँ थे? Let me read this last slide. Idols were houses in the Kaaba, an ancient sanctuary in the city of Mecca. The site housed about 360 idols and attracted worshippers from all over Arabia. According to the holy Muslim text, the Quran, Ibrahim, together with his son Ismail, raised the foundation of a house and began work on the Kaaba around 2130 before the start of the Christian era. That that is little background of this place. बाकी story आपने बताई. When Hazrat Ibrahim was here, and then Hazrat Ibrahim was ordained to go to Jerusalem, and he left his wife there, Hajra, with her son Ismail. So it was a very hot area, and there was no water. So she was running between two hills, that is Safa and Marwa, praying to the God, oh God, please and give us some little water, give us little shade, so that we can rest and recreate. So out of her dua, the supplication, so then the angel came to her and told her to hit the ground with her heel. तो जब उन्होंने अपनी एड़ी को जमीन पे मारा तो वहाँ से एक चश्मा निकल आया, and that chashma is still running, the water is still running, which is known as Zamzam. Little meaning of Zamzam means never ending, जो कभी खत्म ही नहीं होता. And this is a fact that since that day, the chashma is producing water, and the foreigners and the foreign experts have tried to find out what is the source of the recharging of that chashma. पानी आता जाता है, खत्म नहीं हो रहा. What is the reason? तो समझ नहीं आ सकी उन्हें आज तक बात की कि डेजर्ट में there is a spring or a fountain which is running and running and running, and there is endless. And nearby कोई ऐसी source भी नहीं है पानी की. The sea, closest sea is the city of the Jeddah, which is about 40 kilometers away. So that is one of the miracles. And then the two hills between which the lady was running, Hajra, that is the Safa and Marwa. So अगर आप हज के लिए जाएं, so beside the other formalities of the Hajj, you have to also do a sa'i. Sa'i is that you go 7 times to those hills. उसको सही कहते हैं. अगर उम्रा के लिए जाएं, फिर भी आपको वो सही करनी पड़ती है. So the hills have become very important. And sometimes we also talk that even before the coming of Islam regularly and traditionally, the many things of Islam, for example, architecture of Islam existed before the coming of Islam, and the traditions or rituals of Islam also existed before the coming of Islam. But when we talk about the architecture of Islam that existed before the coming of Islam, Kaaba is one building, and then Safa and Marwa is another two sites, which are important. And then if you go to the rituals, so Hajj is a very important thing, and the practice or the tradition of Hajj existed much before the coming of Islam to this part of the world. So many Islamic things existed before the coming of Islam, and that is a very exemplary or unique factor, unique quality of this religion. The tradition holds that it was originally a simple unroofed rectangular structure with a doorway. तो शुरू में कहते हैं when the building was built by Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail alayhi salam. तो ये एक सिर्फ चार दीवारी सी थी. And some people say it was a char diwari of stones, and some people say it was just a combination of stone and clay, and some say it was just a char diwari, an enclosure of wood, and it had a doorway also. So ultimately, with the time, this roof or this structure collapsed, or some say the roof was burnt by an accident, and some say it was destroyed by an earthquake. So many stories about this, but nothing for sure is known. But this is generally accepted that the original building was in the form of an enclosure with high walls, of course, very high wall, and there was a door also in that. Since Ibrahim built the Al-Kaaba and called Faraj 54 years ago, its door have been of interest to kings and rulers throughout the history of Mecca. Historians say that when it was first built, the Kaaba had no door or roof and was simply made of walls. This is another concept about this building. लोग कहते हैं जी इसका छत तो कोई नहीं थी, लेकिन इसका दरवाजा भी कोई नहीं था, which I think is unbelievable, because if we agree that there were about 360 statues inside of gods and of gods, no gods, of gods, तो इसका मतलब कोई रास्ता तो होगा जो उसको अंदर रखने जाते थे और बाहर आते थे. So the history is a bit confused what was happening before the coming of Islam to this important building. Then, as I said, the building was destroyed either by flood or by earthquake or by fire. Then the question arose how to reconstruct this building. According to various historians, there are various theories and stories about the reconstruction. But one story given by K.A.C. Creswell. K.A.C. Creswell is a British historian. He has written a huge book, rather books, on the history of early Islamic architecture. That book is available in the cheap edition also. That is Penguin edition. And you can, if you can get hold of that book, it's a very useful book to study the early history of Islamic architecture. Now, K.A.C. Creswell narrates in his book, the name of the book is The History of Early Islamic Architecture. He says that when the building of Kaaba was destroyed by some reason, and the people of Mecca had no idea how to reconstruct it, then by chance, a ship which was coming from Abyssinia to Arab, that ship capsized. वो किसी तूफान में आके वो ship उलट गया, और ship उलटने से वो सारे उसके लोग जो थे कुछ डूब गए, कुछ बड़ी मुश्किल से तैरते तैरते किनारे तक आए. तो तैरे किनारे तक भी इस तरह के the ship was broken into pieces, and since it was made of wood, तो उसके जो planks थे कुछ लोग उसके ऊपर बैठ गए, कुछ चिमट गए. So some wood and some the residents of that ship came to the shore. When the people of Mecca came to know about the capsizing of the ship, वो दौड़े दौड़े वहाँ गए in search of the wood and search of the belonging of those people के कुछ उनके हाथ भी आ जाए. And they got hold of a person by the name of Bakum. तो Bakum एक बंदे का नाम है. And they realized that this person Bakum was an architect by profession. How he was an architect by profession? Because he said that he has been constructing various churches in Abyssinia. So I know the art of the building. So the Arabian people, or the Arabs, brought Bakum to the city of Mecca and told him to reconstruct the Kaaba. So the building of Kaaba was reconstructed by Bakum. And that is the story or history to which almost all the historians agree. That the building, the oldest surviving building, or the oldest surviving part of the building that we see today, was on the lines of Bakum himself. Now, what did Bakum introduce? Bakum said that he constructed the building like this. There were a few courses of the bricks. The bricks may be of clay or stone, whatever it is. And then after a few courses of bricks, there was a course of wood also, as you see in this picture. Now, I remember I lived before the creation of Pakistan, I lived in two cities, Peshawar and Gujarat. In both these cities, I noticed that the houses which were built during that time, the builders also used the insertion of wood in bricks. After कुछ 2 4 10 कोर्सों के बाद एक wood की insertion होती थी. So I never realized, neither my parents realized why they insert wood in this, in stone or in bricks. So in Gujarat also noticed this was a very common practice. And when I became a teacher and I happened to go to many monuments in Pakistan and outside Pakistan, I saw that this practice of inserting wood was very common in old buildings. For example, the well-known building in Multan, that is the tomb of Ruknuddin Alam. In Multan, if you study the walls of that building, you will also find the insertion of wood after a few courses of bricks. There is insertion of wood, but that wood is much thicker than the picture which you see here. And if there is anybody from city of Multan, he can go there and he can vouch for this, that this is the fact that the building has many insertion of wood beside that of timber. Now, if I ask you a question, simple question, कि इस timber का insertion क्यों है? Why there is insertion of timber? Timber तो weak है as compared to the stone. Walls like this, as you see in the picture, that will enhance the resilience of the building. Resilience का लफ्ज नोट करें, RESILIENCE. Resilience. Resilience ये चीज है जिसे आप कहें कुव्वत बर्दाश्त. तो जो कुव्वत बर्दाश्त बिल्डिंग में कुव्वत बर्दाश्त किया. कुव्वत बर्दाश्त ये है, if there is some settlement कहाँ होता है? ग्राउंड जो फाउंडेशन में अगर there is settlement, so what will happen? What will happen in the case of settlement? There will be crack like this traveling upward. आपने अक्सर बिल्डिंगों में देखा होगा कि ऐसा क्रैक होता है जो it goes from bottom toward the top, and that damages the building. Now just imagine if there was a plank of wood here, that will stop this crack from traveling from here to here. That timber will stop the traveling of this crack, and that was the reason why the wood was inserted here. Now, if the wood was here, then this crack will not travel up to this place. So that is the main purpose. The wood can stop the upward traveling cracks. This method of wood insertion was very common in olden times. So ये not only in जी.
अच्छा सर, मुल्तान में जो बिल्डिंग है शाहरुख आलम, उसमें शहतूत के 1 फीट के जो प्लैंक्स है वो यूज किए गए हैं थ्रू आउट द बिल्डिंग, और हर 10 फुट के बाद इस तरह का एक प्लैंक है 100 फीट जाने तक.
वही शहतूत का तो मुझे नहीं पता, आप बता रहे हैं तो मान लेते हैं, लेकिन ये तो एग्रीड है ना कि उस बिल्डिंग में प्लैंक्स हैं लगे हुए और दे आर क्वाइट ब्रॉड, चौड़े हैं काफी.
जी सर.
This is quite important. So this means that when there is a shock of the building, earthquake आ जाए, if there is a settlement in the foundation, वो जो crack है, it will travel not upward. So that will increase the resilience of the building. Resilience is the flexibility or the power to overcome some damage. So that is resilience. तो ये मकसद है इसका. The Kaaba also sometimes preferred as Kaaba al-Musharrafa. Musharrafa आप समझते हैं, Musharraf की इज्जत बहुत है. Prior to Islam, throughout the Arabian Peninsula, the Kaaba was a holy site for the statues of gods of pre-Islamic Arabs. A statue of Hubal, the principal idol of Mecca. तो Hubal जो था उनका सबसे बड़ा god था, उसका statue उसके अंदर था. And statues of other pagan deities are known to have been placed or around the building of Kaaba. So there's deities there. And according to certain people, certain Orientalists, ना सिर्फ अंदर statues थे, बल्कि अंदर pictures भी थी. Now there is a little conflict between the Muslim historians and the Orientalists. Orientalists say when the Prophet opened the gates of the Kaaba, so he found a lot of statues and he ordered that all the statues should be destroyed. Then he found some pictures and he ordered that all the pictures should be destroyed, except the pictures of the Christ and Maryam. So Muslim writers say that Prophet ने कहा कि सब तस्वीरें तबाह कर दो, whether they of Christ or Maryam. And the difference is because the Orientalists who are basically Christian, they are trying to propagate the importance of the Christianity and Christ and the Maryam alayhi salam. On the other hand, when the pictures were not realistic and everybody knew that the representation is not correct, so they are simply pictures. So the Prophet ordered that everything should be destroyed. And I agree with this theory that everything, whether they were pictures or they were idols, they were all destroyed.